Sup, motherfuckers? What's happening? I'm starting off with a project. Once again, I just have the 3D scene. I'm just gonna delete this because I'm not really worried about the 3D scene. I don't need to open it. And I got all this stuff all good. I'm just gonna make sure the editor layout's good. Okay. I might expand it a little bit. And yeah, so first things first, I'm just gonna download some assets. I will end up making my own, but for now, I just want to have just some basic assets. And I'll go through like a quick way to actually get all these. And yeah, so let's download. I'm gonna continue without downloading for now. Just don't want to give it. I tried downloading it earlier to see what it was like, and yeah, that was just like peeking in. But right now, I just wanted to start from scratch, just so that way everything's just from scratch with this game. Okay. Later videos I might sometimes do things on the side, but only if it's very like obvious. So I'm gonna make a new folder called assets. And I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna select the folder and just extract there. And I'm cool with all this in here. I'm just like using other people's assets. So if I name mine something else. Actually, for now, before I get into this, I'll probably say not mine, just in case I change my mind and want to use this folder for my own assets. And everything else here will be in there. Right? So it's not mine, is there? And this is just because it's just open source assets, basically, or whatever. But yeah, okay, so we got this image here. You can see all these. I'm not sure exactly how many are on these. There is this, but it doesn't really tell you much. You can actually edit text files in here. That's cool. Okay, alright, so right here I started going over just like counting the assets because I'm just trying to figure out how many frames are in this asset. And I just wanted to find the number of horizontal frames and the number of vertical frames, so I'm just like counting up how many there are. And I found out that there's actually 54 in there, but it's just not too easy to count. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, and I think I was just being dumb, but I just counted in Krita with the grid just to help me out. And yeah, so I think there's got to be a better way to do this. I think I was just being dumb. But that's why I'm fast forwarding this part because it's very uninteresting and I'm just counting up freaking images. And this does not really like give too much info. But yeah, I'm just going to keep talking over this. This is like one of the parts that I would fast forward over. It's kind of like this. So like if I'm ever working on some art, I'll do this where I'm just talking over. And yeah. See it right here. I figured out the horizontal parts already. Or I think I started drawing on top of it. I started noticing that Krita has some weird like things. I was like, okay, I can't rely on this. So I just started drawing rectangles over it. It's very, very stupid. There's definitely better ways you could do this. I was just being dumb. And but yeah, I was just counting by fours, and then I counted up the fours and just multiplied by 4. I found 53, but I needed to set it to 54. And the vertical was 12. And yeah, so that's what I found right here. And I think I just set it up. But yeah. So this part's a little bit interesting too. I just set the dimensions, the margins, and then I just like calculate the frames. It's 54 by 12. And after that, I set the billboard to enabled, and I keep it unshaded, and then I set it to nearest to make it look sharper and pixel perfect. Because before it was looking blurry as almost fucking hell. And yeah, and that's about it right now. And I'm just shifting through frames just to check if it's all good. Okay, that's good enough for now. Okay, so now I just got that all set up. And yeah. So probably what you do if you have some type of sheet like that, you probably have some like little constants or something that you could just set, and then it would quickly set to like which one you want. But for now I'm just gonna say fuck it. That's exactly what I want. And let's go. So everything's all good. I think I got enabled on so it's always facing the camera, no matter which. I think that might not be a good thing. It might be better if we do Y billboard. Okay. So that way horizontally we're always facing the camera, but it might look more like they're standing. So even if you like, you could just draw everything straight on, the perspective will make it look better. Okay. And now let's add a camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it like, let's say 10 by 10, and then let's say so if you do that, what you want to do is you want to find the square root, and I'll just do it on a calculator on here. Got this all up. So if you do, so 10 squared plus 10 squared is 100. And then you just take the square root of 100, and that should be the y value right here. So let's say 100, and let's find the square root. Oh wait. No. It'd be 200, whoops. Because you have to add up both these squared. So 100 plus 100 is 200. And then you find the square root of that. And that's this number. Let's just plug the whole thing in there and see how much it carries. So that should be almost perfect. And yeah, it's up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 45, or I think it's 315, because I'm going to go downwards. And let's do a 45-degree angle. That should be pretty much perfect. Oh wait, that's the wrong axis, whoops. 45, boom. And boom, should be centered. And in here, what we could do, we could make it more zoomed in. But what we might want to do, since this guy's so tiny, he's like really tiny. This is way tinier than what we want a character probably. I'd say about maybe 4 times bigger. Let's see how that looks. And let's see, is that good? We're definitely going to draw our character taller. We're going to probably be 64 or 64 or something, or maybe something bigger. And because I'm not going for too much of a retro look, there might be more pixels than that. I might go like 128 by 128 or something. So I'm going to look at the camera actually, and let's look. So it's like that. And let's say, what size are we at? That's what we're going after. Let's go, where is the size? I just saw that earlier. H offset, dot by tracking, keep height, projection. Oh, this is orthogonal. And that's the size. Okay. And let's go, make 10. Yeah, I think that'll be perfect. And then that'll be pretty good. It does look like it's a little too squished. So let's see what it looks like if we just turn on the enabled. I think it does look pretty good actually. We'll figure it out. I could do 30 degrees instead. It's easier to do 45-degree angles though. It's just like really quick. You just find the basic square root. That's it. Yeah. I'll just like keep it at 45 for now and just see how it looks with other characters as we go on. Maybe let's like go through the frames and just see how everything looks. This is nice about doing it this way. You just do this. You know, you don't have to run the game. Get some mouth. Make it go to. I think it looks fine for now, actually. I don't mind it. Okay. So let's keep it at that frame. We're just gonna be a naked boy. And yeah. So that's that. We got the camera set up and the sprite 3D set up. It's always at a 10 angle. I'm guessing that if we want to zoom out, we could. We just want to make sure to keep this right here. And I think we could just actually just move the size and it'll be fine. Because I don't think it really matters exactly where this is. And we might actually move it further later on, but I might keep it close for now. But if we run into problems, then I might change it. But yeah, and we also want to be able to move it around the player, so we'll probably change this rotation if we want to move it. Say if it's like 90. Actually, no. So the rotation, we want to have like it on a pivot, basically. So if we just rotate this, I think it'll be fine. Let me see. Yeah, so we can just rotate the character, and they'll actually rotate the camera with it. And that's what the mouse could do probably or something. I'm not really sure exactly. It might be played with a keyboard, but I'll just figure it out as we go along. Okay, let's see what time we're at. 15. I might just keep a timer. No, let's not keep a timer. Okay. So what we're going to do next is make a little collision box. Oh. Collision. shape 3D. That's what we want. I'll just make it a little capsule shape or something. So they really improved a lot of stuff. I've looked at the documentation a little bit. They've really improved a lot of this stuff, and I'm really impressed with it so far. So I can't wait to just dig into this. I'm a little bit of a noob, so you're going to see me mess up on stuff, probably not make the best decisions. So if you see me doing something that's not the optimal way of doing something, then like I'll mention it, and I'll probably make either a video about it or correct it in the next session. And yeah, so right here we have the collision shape. Let's make a little capsule shape. And yeah, let's just do it. So let's just I'll just do the scale. I wonder if there's a way you could just do all of them. I don't know though. So I'll just yeah, it has the same shortcuts as Blender. I'll just go right here. This will be the best way to look at it, because I want to look at orthogonally. Okay. I think I need to change the size of this actually. Oh my god. Okay. The only problem is this thing. Let's just make a new. Let's just clear. Just make a new one. New capsule shape. Okay. So we want to have this go kind of like that maybe. We're gonna definitely have a taller character over time. This is more like a circle right now. So I'll probably have something more like along the lines of this. And this is just a test anyway. So I'll just probably have it sitting above this character. Let's go into orthogonal view. Let's just be like this. It's almost a box actually. Would be better for this guy. It's not centered all the way right here. See how it is. We won't be able to see it from the other direction probably. Oh no, we could. Because this is, it's always facing the camera. It's not centered right here, so we definitely need to center it. It's not centered on both these axes. That's mostly axes that matter. So like, as long as it's centered on those two, it's fine. I don't really care if it's a little tall. We'll probably make taller characters. Maybe I'll make like a 128 by 256 type of character. That might be what I'm going for. Okay. Or just straight up powers of 2. Just have a square image. But yeah, no matter what right now, let's just go with it. And let's save this. Let's name it something else. I'll name it player. And let's make, I like to have an assets folder and a scene folder. So that's what I'm going to do. Scene. And scene will contain like all the stuff that like we have in Godot, like all these scenes. And the assets will just contain the straight up assets. That's kind of like how I like to have everything. And then maybe we'll have like maps or something that'll just have levels. They're not necessarily like from Godot, but I like to have that just like, because like it's important to have the levels in there, and yeah, just stuff like that. I could actually just keep it in scene, but it doesn't really matter. It's just up to you how you want to dictate stuff, or me how I want to dictate stuff. I might keep it in scenes though and just make a new folder. Let's name it maps. So it'll have a maps folder, and it will have a player folder. So we're going to mess with both of those right now, because that's a couple of the first things you want to do. You want to have like a little environment to test your stuff out in, like with gravity or code or physics. And what's nice about doing all this in 3D is even though we're doing an isometric game, like this is technically going to be an isometric game. And yeah, so because it's 45-degree angle too. Okay, I like to have scenes be capitalized. Okay, that's my preference. But yeah, so it's right there, player, and we got the player T scene, and let's go here. We got that going, and right now we should be able to run it. We probably should not have that as a scene. Let's have a little main scene. Let's just name it test level. This is where we're going to just test some basic functions. And I'll just make a new folder called, let's call it test levels. And right here, I'll just I'll add this new scene in here. Let's name it test level. And maps, test levels, boom. Oh, it does that to everything. I maybe I'll just keep it like that, just so I don't have to keep editing it all the time. I do like to have it as like camel case and everything, but maybe it's better this way. Fuck it. Okay, so yeah, actually, yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so we got test level and player. What we want to do is we want to add the player to the test level, and there we go. Now we got the player in the test level. It's in the origin sorta, and we got the collision shape on. And what's gonna be nice is that this is where we'll make our script, is in the player, and bam, now we got that. I might just keep my scripts and my scenes in the same directory. Works out nicer like that, and yeah, it sounds better to separate the two. And right here, yeah, there we go. We got test level and player, and okay, so let's go into here and yeah, so what's gonna happen is that we got the player in the test level. We got the general like scene set up for the player. Save it. And what we want to do is we want to add some basic maps. So let's make sure that we could actually get Godot in. And that's what I'm going to do. So I got Godot from another project. And I think there's like a new one. Let's see if it's in. I might look up Godot on here, because I think they tell you if it's in here. So Godot, GitHub pages. There's Godot. GitHub only. So it's in beta. That might be problematic. But let's try it. So, is there any issues that's happening? Might be a little problematic. I think for now I'm just gonna stick to just making stuff in here. It's not that big of a deal for now. And yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I might add just some basic meshes, and let's just do it right here. Let's add some basic stuff, and let's see how we could deal with walls and all that. Okay, so this is gonna have, what I would do is I'd have like some type of like I'll just add child node, and this will be our actual like level geometry. That's how I like to have it. So I would usually have this as a separate scene somewhere, just for us to like build, and just like where Godot will be like sent to. So that way I just have it like I could actually what I actually like to do like is like line up all the levels together and make sure that they're all like lined up while I'm like working on them. So that way that the geometry actually makes sense, and if someone has a sense of direction, they can get around the world. But we don't need to do that here, but I'm just going to do it just in case I change my mind. And so I have as a level geometry. And yeah, so what we're going to do is just add all of our level geometry to this for now. But usually this would be a different scene. So mesh instance 3D, okay. So this is add a little box mesh. This will just be basic. And should probably add some snapping. Use snap, transform, and here's how I like to have the snap. 0.125, 5 degrees. Let's say 5%. Okay. So that way we could actually have some stuff in there. Okay. Let's set the player on top of this. Okay. Let's just add from there, basically. So we'll be able to just set this, say 10, 10, and this actually might be better to do in Blender for now, actually, until we get the hang of it. Let's actually do this in Blender. Let's just make a small little test level in Blender. So here I'm just working on the level in Blender, and I just start off with a basic block, get all the units set up. I set up to 8 scale because it goes in the opposite way. And yeah, and then I just go through, I just start extruding a bunch of stuff. I'm not even really thinking about like any specific thing. All I'm doing is just like making some geometry, setting it up, messing with it, and messing with it all in one mesh. Because I'm in edit mode in Blender. When you're in edit mode, you're only messing with one mesh at a time. And yeah, so right here, I'm just like I'm gonna add a slope just in case we want to test some slope physics and stuff when we start jumping around. And yeah, and right here I'm just like making some like weird things, just kind of testing out Blender as well. I'm also like making a different mesh right here. I separate it, and that is a weird decision. I think it's better instead, like just to make a new mesh if you're doing level editing. But yeah, but yeah, I think I'll learn my lesson from this. But it's a little funny because like when you do it, then like some faces are missing. You gotta stitch it together. It's not too much of a problem for me, but it could create some issues later on. Like let's say if you forget that you're doing it. So if this is a more complex level, I don't think this would be a good idea. I think it's better to just create new meshes if you're doing that. But if you want to keep everything just as one mesh, just for maybe optimization purposes, maybe it might be a good idea. And I'm just like adding some like stuff to this like little angled part right here. I'm not really too worried about accuracy. I try to like make it like one separate mesh, but that's not a very good idea, and it doesn't really work out too well. Instead, I just like raise them, and then I just go the opposite way of what I'm trying to do. At first, I was like thinking about making an indent, but yeah. And then what I do is I just extrude it up, and yeah, I'm just getting used to Blender a little bit, somewhat. And boom, 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 just like moving it along, extruding different parts, making it a bit bigger, so that way the player has some room to move around in. And this is one part where Trench Broom would be a lot better because this goes a lot faster in Trench Broom. I like how Trench Broom organization is and how the Godot importer is. But right now, I'm going to wait on using that. I could probably export it as an OBJ too, and then just done the collision, but fuck it. What I did right here is I export it as an OBJ, and I'm just importing it into Godot. And yeah, and after that, I just create a collision shape. And Godot is very good about creating collision shapes. Actually, I'm wondering if I could have just used Trench Broom and then just like export as OBJ, then just brought it into Godot. But I guess we'll learn our lessons. I'll try that next time. But yeah, right here, I'm just going through. I'm kind of like all I could see was just like nothing, and it seems to just be really dark. And I was just testing. I was like, what the hell? It's like, is there a problem with the camera? Is there a problem with this? But no, it was just the colors I was using. It just like reflected the world, I think. Everything was just gray. So I couldn't even tell what anything was. I'm seeing from an orthographic perspective. It would probably be better if I just tested from a perspective. That's weird. But yeah, just like normal perspective basically. But yeah, right here I think I'm just learning my lesson. But yeah, right now I don't have any input set up, anything set up with the player. It's just an empty player. And yeah. So yeah, I'm just going through, just like trying a bunch of different things with the colors, and it's just not going right. And I think it was me being stupid. So this is what happens when I do stuff live. I just do stupid stuff, and I'm just fast forwarding this because like I'm really just like going over it. Just I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I can't figure this shit out. This is kind of funny. But yeah, you'll see how dumb I am. So like, I think it's just the colors, honestly, and I haven't set any lights. I haven't changed the brightness settings at all. I haven't done anything. Just like using it right out of the like box, basically. I just imported this shit and I'm just trying to view it. So I just go into the shading tab in Blender. I just change the colors, and I try to change the material right here, but they're both set to the same material. I was like, oh shit, I gotta make a new material. So I set that one to a different color, and then I export it again. And what I try to do is I'm trying to see if there's any differences. And I do see that, okay, it is viewing it. Everything's just really fucking dark. So I add a light right here. And I just expand it like crazy. And I noticed the lights are a little different from the other one. Because if I set that shit to 50 in like my other game, then I don't know if I just have the scaling different. But the scaling's a bit funny here. And I'm just like fiddling with it around all the lighting settings. Trying to make it like brighter, and it's just like it's still really dark. It's really weird, but it's gonna look cool, I think, once I start actually bringing in actual meshes. I'm gonna need to figure this out though. I'm gonna get this all down. Okay, let's see if that's a bit better. That's a little better. Still looks a little dark, but yeah, at least we can see like differences between colors. Okay, just wanted to make sure everything was fine, and that's a little embarrassing, honestly. Okay, let's get our player to move around. So I'm going to make my own input map. I don't know what these are because it's not showing me these for some reason. And show built-in. Oh, there it is. So there's UI left. So right here, I'm just setting up the input mapping. I'm going through and move left, move right, move forward, just like basic move commands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to like set keys to all these. I'm also going to have rotate camera left and rotate camera right. So the WASD keys are going to be to move, and the left and right arrow keys are going to be rotate the camera. And I'm also going to be able to use the mouse rotate enable. I'm going to set that to the middle mouse button. So that way when you click the middle mouse button, you'll be able to rotate like that. And yeah, and then I think I'll also have a jumping button somewhere, but I haven't set it up yet. So then they'll enable like rotating for the mouse if the player wants to do that. And then they can also rotate with the arrow keys. Maybe panning will be available, but I'm not exactly sure yet. I would like to keep the might actually be a good idea. Yeah, so I might have to change the scene of the player. So I might make a little like a pivot right here. So node 3D. I'm not sure if it's needed, but for now, let's just do that. Let's add the camera to the pivot, and let's say camera pivot. And this will be like where the camera actually rotates from. So we'll actually rotate this camera pivot, and that way it'll always rotate around the camera pivot and not always the player. And it'll always be constant from that. And I think it kept its, let's see if it kept its transform. I think it did. Because even now, so here's what I'll show you. Like, it'll always rotate around this point, so that way the player could actually move around and stuff, or the player can move the camera around, and maybe we'll be able to do this, and then I'll do like 45, and it'll actually rotate around that instead of only being able to rotate around the camera. Because if you put the camera in the character body 3D, wherever the character is located, that's where the camera is going to rotate around. So that will be a good idea to do that. But yeah. Okay, so yeah. So now we got the camera rotation down, I think, how it's going to be. And yeah, I'm just kind of planning it out with the input stuff. The thing is, I think I'm going to need... This is easy and quick to like change. So if you need to change this, it's fine. I just like to just make it fast. And I like to use camel case for a lot of things. It's probably not the Godot way. So just note that. So if you ever work with developers, make sure they're okay with how you're doing this. Okay, so let's say move left. And this is already set for controls, I think. I think it gets the vector. I think it is that. Yeah, it gets that, I think. I'm not sure exactly. I think it gets the amount. That is really cool, actually. So move left. And move right. I wish I could just, like, keep it right there or something. But it keeps you from selecting this. Okay. Move forward. Oh, it does it for you. Back. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. Okay, I like that. Okay, so jump. I think we will be able to jump. For now, I'll just make it space or something basic. So that's also a good thing to do. Jump. And let's just name it. Let's make it space for now. Maybe I'll change it later if it's better for something. And yeah, jump. And is on floor. That might not be exactly how I want to do things, but for now, this is fine. This is fine. Not is on floor. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to change this layer to make it feel better, but for now, I think this is cool. So you move toward that, move toward that. What is that? I want to see what this function does. So this is what you can always do. You can just press Control click, and then it actually opens up the documentation. It's been like this since Godot 3, I think, because I've always done this. And it just allows you to look at everything. So it moves from this point, it moves to this point by the delta value. So this is a float. That's pretty cool. That's really all you need. That's interesting, actually. Use a negative delta. And then you get the velocity.x and the velocity.y. That's interesting. Because, I wonder why it's done like this? If direction. if it's normalized, so we get the basis. So basically the transform basis, wherever we're supposed to be looking. We're not going to move in the direction of the camera. Yeah, that's not something we're doing. That's only like for first person stuff. So this might actually be fine. It might be how based on how the character's rotated. So that's what this is going to do. And we're getting that direction and moving in that, and we're times it by speed. That's pretty motherfucking cool. And move and slide does all that for us, I think. Do we have to pass stuff in move and slide like we used to? Move and slide does not need stuff to be passed in anymore. That's pretty motherfucking interesting. I'm not used to that. I'm used to having to pass stuff in, so that is nice. That's nice. I like that. So far, I think that's what this is for. This is for all the stuff. Wall, min, slide. If it encounters its slope, the default value. Let's make it 45. I don't want it to slide. And once it gets past a 45-degree angle, then that's when we start sliding. Else I don't want to do it. That is motherfucking cool. Okay. They have a lot of stuff, like, changed, actually, Godot 4. Okay, so, this is also a Godot 4 video, just going through it. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So you got project settings. They got project settings. Gravity? Wait, what? Physics 3D. How do you do that? That is motherfucking cool. Damn. Is there 3D physics? That's selective gravity. Physics 3D default gravity. Oh my god, that's cool. 9.8 meters per second squared. Oh, that's cool. Oh man. That's sweet. I like that. Okay. So let's look and see if we have input, I guess. We already have input. It's just not going by the rotation of the camera, so we do need to input that. So we're probably going to want to go by the camera pivot basis, since we're going to be rotating that around. And let's just get the this for now. I'll change that. What I also like to do is always keep a reference to like these, so that way, just in case you change the name, it'll always still, you only need to change it in one spot throughout the whole thing. So what I like to do is make a little reference variable up here, say var. I'll even make it reference variables, and let's make it var, and let's name it camera pivot ref. Pivot ref. I like to use camel case for my variables, but okay, so let's make it of type node 3D, and let's set it to null first. And when you get into here, this is when we just set the camera pivot ref and set it to the camera pivot. And that way, we can just call this all the time. And now we only have to make a change in one spot. And I just noticed I just double clicked and it highlighted the $sign too. So that's very nice. It used to not do that. Okay. So that is motherfucking cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's check this. So now it should follow the rotation. No, it's not following the rotation of the camera. Okay. What I think needs to happen, I think this should be global. Okay, so we get the input direction. We get this. Times it by the input direction that we got. We say normalized. We give it that direction. So if the direction is good, then move towards that. Else we peter it off or something. I'm not really exactly sure. Yeah, because I think it moves toward 0. So it moves to 0 by the speed that we're going. So that way it always has a little bit of a build up. Nah, not really. Okay, so if it gets one of these, then we do this. Input direction Y, and then we do dot normalized. I almost feel like it should be a plus, but I don't know. Yeah, but it's times. That's how this works. So we're gonna get that basis, times it by that, and do that. But as we can see, it's not working with the camera rotation. So when we press W, we should be going forward based on how the pivots rotate. The only problem, I think this is actually rotated like that. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. So this should probably have a Y rotation of 0 actually to start off with. Want to make that like that. And yeah. Actually, let's do 45 for now. That'll be the default rotation. Say 45. Or actually, maybe I'll keep this at 0. And that'll be 45. But the only problem is that makes it go off center. So yeah, this will be the 0 angle actually. I think that's what it should be. And yeah, this will be the 0 angle because we want that to be like towards the player at all times. And yeah, and then when we rotate it around, it'll be like that. So there's probably an easier way to do this. I'm just making it harder on myself. Probably what I could do. Maybe this is a transform.basis. It doesn't make a difference because if I did this, it would actually go with the camera right now. 3D. So look, if I did this, we'd actually move forward. Oh, whoops. And now if I do this, see, now it's fine. Now we're actually moving forward with W key. And yeah, so we probably gotta get the transforms together. So that's a basis right there. Forgot what a basis is made up of. I'm kind of an idiot right now. Okay, so pivot ref. So maybe I almost wonder if I could just add a script and just get this plus that or something. I don't know. So this is transform. So you get the basis. That compose of 3 vector fields, x, y, and z, for use. So that is okay. So this is a scale basically. Everything else is, I forgot how you find the rotation. It's a little complicated actually. So we're going to basically want to find this thing's basis times that one. So it might just be like this. Let's have a ref for this. It doesn't have it. Yeah, there it goes. Camera ref. This will be a camera 3D. I'll just do the spacing right here. Shoot camera 3D. Okay, so I'm going to stop in a second, but for now I just want to test this out to see until it works. Here's the camera 3D. That. And boom, we got that. Dot transform dot basis. And I think this should work. Yes, it does. And let's test if we have them both rotated. Let's test if this one's at 45 degrees. And now it's still fine. And it's normalized, so it's all good. That's good. Okay. So yeah, now they're all together in there. It might be a little inefficient, I don't know. But yeah, I think that's good so far. Okay. It might also be simpler if I did make a script for this at some point, but I'm not really sure exactly if I should. I think it's fine if I don't have a script and just have the code just right here. Just have this going on. Okay. So that's how we do that. I think that was some linear algebra right there, and that I barely understood when I was looking at it, and I just forgot it. I could probably just times it by that too, if I just want to basically add that rotation. I'm not sure exactly. I just figured that out somehow. I think I remembered something from like maybe some linear algebra stuff, but yeah. But I don't know if I could really explain it. I think just because we're multiplying this camera ref by this pivot ref, we're able to get both the rotations. And whenever we do this input, basically, we are moving forward, backward, left, and right. So this is probably like a vector x -1, vector x +1, vector y y -1, and vector y +1 or something. However, forward is calculated. It might also be positive. This might be negative. And we bring that in right here. And then, so that's that vector. And so we're just applying straight up whatever we're typing in. So whether we have a controller coming in, whether we have a keyboard coming in, this will register that. And then we'll have this camera ref right here, this basis, basically wherever its rotation is, it's going to like affect this one, basically. And wherever this one's rotation is, it'll also affect this one. So even if we're moving in the like in the z direction too, this is, or y direction, it would actually affect this, and that's just cool. So yeah, so you got all this going on too. This is direction times speed, and we just set the player's speed equal to this, and then I think this is deceleration if I'm correct. So if you times it by like let's say times 0.125, let's just like times it by that. By a little number, I think it'll take longer to decelerate. I think it's still pretty fast, so let's just say some crazy amount, some crazy small amount. See, now it's like you're moving on ice. So that's pretty cool that it actually does that for you, actually. And yeah, this is the first time I'm looking at it, so I just barely even know this. I actually like the feeling of this one, actually, believe it or not. But also makes it a little less accurate. So yeah, it will make you less accurate if you make the speed, because then look, you can like barely push it, and then it doesn't make you go all the way forward. It's like boom, hella accurate. That is very accurate, actually. But yeah, for now, that's what I got going on in this game. I think next time what I'm gonna do is probably try to, I think it's already applying gravity, actually. Yeah, it's already applying gravity. We just can't see it. So I probably want to apply some camera rotation stuff, but for now I think we're at a good stopping point. But yeah. Okay. Peace.